Dear viewers, good morning from Learn Channel Studio. My name is Teuta and this is my colleague Philip. We are broadcasting every day for you the most trending topics from the learning and development industry.
Hello from me as well, and welcome to a new episode. Our new guest today will discuss the challenges in the financial functions in the post-pandemic world. In the studio with us is Goran Zafirovski, the head of finance for KSA and UAE at LEORON Institute. Welcome, Goran.
Thank you.
And with Zoom, we'll join the expert trainer, Marc Cannizzo. Hello to both of you and welcome to our show.
Hello, Marc.
Hi there.
Marc, you have more than 30 years experience in designing and delivering training courses to corporate clients from different sectors across Southeast Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. What would you say are the main changes in the financial functions that were caused by the pandemic?
Well, thanks a lot for the invitation, and you make me feel quite old, although I must say this is my first pandemic. So broadly speaking, I think the main changes would be everybody at first staying at home and having to work online. And this has implications both organizationally, in terms of work processes, and with respect to IT security. I'll get into some examples a little bit later.
Marc and Goran, the COVID-19 pandemic has presented to businesses unseen challenges, putting organizations under pressure in ways that weren't anticipated. So they're even posing new demands to finances as a function in the company. What do you think? How did the pandemic affect finance professionals and finance institutions? Marc, let's start with you.
Sure. So building on the previous response, so organizationally, I think the pandemic has impeded or been an obstacle to team building and to on-the-job learning, because you can't sort of stand around the proverbial water cooler and chat with your colleagues, having spontaneous chats. People don't like to do that too much on Zoom. Now, last year, bank executives, for example, said that they wanted very badly to get people to come back to the office. More recently, I think there's been a bit of a rethink, and some bank executives have said, well, if you want to stay home, stay home. In other words, talking about a kind of hybrid solution. I think part of their the reason for that is the interest to cut costs. I know one insurance company, for example, which recently reduced by 50% the premises which they lease because they never have everybody in the office at the same time. And I think they want to stick with that solution. So as I say, a hybrid solution cuts costs, but it does change the way in which people work with each other.
And Goran, what is your comment on this?
Well, I totally agree with Marc, and I would add a few things that how the finance professionals in general were affected by the pandemic. First of all, previously, the finance function was somehow limited in scope of their actions. They were not much included in the high-level decision-making. But now the managers somehow recognized their importance to be more included in the strategy of the company. As well, the finance professionals were somehow forced to revise their internal processes and to see are they still robust, are they still applicable for the new uncertain environment as well, because the old processes were not designed for this uncertain environment. And as well, there was a shift and changing in the way how the financial professionals reported. Previously, everything was based on, annual reporting, but now it's much more important to have this dynamic reporting, meaning quarterly, monthly, or even weekly. So this provided the managers with possibility to have real-time decision and to adjust their action on the current environment that's happening at the moment.
Marc, what can you say are the biggest challenges that financial professionals have been facing in this past period?
Yeah, well, I think I can be a little bit more concrete as well to build on also Goran's observations. For example, audits have moved online. Practically speaking, there's a lot more work having to scan documents. Think about this, the verification of documents is more complicated now. Fiscal inspections, for example, are difficult to perform. More records have to be available online. The reliability of records and data security have to be addressed. So there's a whole bunch of headaches now which finance professionals are confronted with. And as Goran is saying, protocols have to be rethought and rewritten. So I think there's a lot of organizational implications of what we're talking about here.
Marc, but how can finance professionals overcome these newly encountered challenges?
Okay, that's a good question too. I think home learning, absolutely vital, online assessments, all the things that we've been pushing for years, obviously, in the training area. But I think broadly speaking, a greater resilience and flexibility of mind is required by professionals.
Marc, considering your experience with LEORON Institute, can you tell us more about the educational support and solutions that are being offered currently to finance professionals?
Oh, for sure, yes. The support that we give, obviously, in the pandemic is that we have gone online in the last couple of years, although I had the opportunity to get back into the classroom just before Christmas time. So for us, it's also a learning curve that we have to climb. I think going forward, clearly, finance professionals have to continue to push on their personal knowledge and development in such areas that we cover, or at least I cover, management, accounting and budgeting, strategy, financial statement analysis, valuations, treasury and financial hedging, working capital and liquidity management, and then, of course, the good old favorites of corporate finance and project finance. Now, the key thing is that we've learned that the in-class training is a seminar type of approach, which is the most effective, and we do case studies. But I think we also want to keep our online courses because that covers more technical skills. So you can see in terms of our support for finance professionals, we are looking at hybrid solutions as well, online and also in class.
Yeah, Marc, as you were saying, LEORON is already on board with digital area, providing a variety of virtual training solutions. Do you think that digital transformation is an urgent priority for the financial functions as well?
Digitalization has always been important, and it has to go ahead. It will never be reversed. That's for sure.
Thank you, Marc, for the great feedback. And Goran, after you now, can you tell us more about your role at LEORON and financial background as well?
Well, yes, of course. I mean, I'm 10 years part from the corporate finance. As you said, I'm part from the finance team. We have a great team, excellent people. And most of the activities, the initiatives, the projects that we're doing, they are very interrelated with each of us. So my particular role is I'm managing the liquidity and the payments within the company. I have my role in the investment team as well. Also, I'm part from the audit team for the audit for KSA and Dubai. But I must say that a significant part from my daily activities are related to the external partners like the banks and providing the finance and financial instruments for the companies. Also, I must mention that I have previously 8-year experience working in the banking sector. I was part from the credit risk department, from the business department, so pretty much I know the companies from different angles, let's say from risk perspectives, from business perspective, and now from within.
Goran, as a head of the finance department for KSA and UAE, what are some main challenges that you are facing but that were not there before?
Yes, of course. I mean, there is a challenges in every field of the companies working, so the finance is not excluded. In general, the finance function is pretty much, strict, conservative, and rule-based. But there must be a switch now after these 2 years of pandemic to more forward-looking, let's say more innovative thinking of the financial professionals. We can group the challenges into 3 main categories. We can say culture, people, and technology. When I speak about culture, I mean redesigning the role of the finance team within the company. So now the finance team is more interrelated with other departments, more inclusive in the daily job. The technology, as Marc said, is something that we cannot stop. This is a process that is fast-moving, faster than ever. And we speak about digitalization. Finance is, let's say, in the first road of implementing digital solution and software for data analysis. So this provided more, meaningful analysis of data and accurate data and on-time reporting, which on the other side, as I said, provide managers with possibility to make on-time and real-time decisions. And this technology, on the other hand, also forced the team, the finance people, the finance professionals to they must be retrained or upgrade their current skills with the new technical skills, with the new software, and which is much more important, to change their way of thinking, to be more innovative, to be more, how to say, forward-looking into their daily job.
So, Goran, what is the role of the financial function in companies now? Is there a change in the perspective of the position of financial expertise within the companies?
Well, yes, of course. I mean, previously the finance professionals and the finance people within the companies were seen as back office department, very static, who is considered to be, let's say, more like reporting center or just data management center. But now the finance professionals within a company are seen as, let's say, more business partner for the external stakeholders and for the internal departments as well. So with their job, now they have direct input and influence on the optimal business performance. So they're doing optimization inside the company, cost cutting, cost optimization, we may say, and of course, providing real-time decision-making for the management.
Goran, despite the challenges, are there any new opportunities for the banking sector that arose after COVID?
Yes, of course. Somehow the banking sector in the past period, let's say, was put on a test. I mean, the banks are risk-based institutions. They're doing analysis, they're taking risk, and they're charging with interest for this risk. Mm-hmm. So the pandemic somehow changed the perception of the businesses toward the banks. They're not seeing anymore as a source of funding only, but rather as advisors and business partners. So in order this to be achieved, I mean, the bank needed to change and switch their approach toward the companies to more client-oriented, to know their client better. And in order to know their clients better and the companies, they need to make a more thorough analysis. So it's not only about the financial indicators anymore. It's also about the analyzing of the management capacity of the businesses, the process of decision making, because in the past 2 years we saw bad decisions and we saw good decisions. And it was test for the banks and for the companies in the same time. So now the companies, as I said, and the banks are seen as partners, and the companies in 2022 and the upcoming period won't need only the finance for liquidity and funds for sustaining their current business activity, but also they will need some funds for the new investments, because as Marc mentioned and we discussed before, the new technologies are coming, digitalization, new markets are opening, so the banks need to have better understanding of the company needs and to be more flexible.
So can you give any final remarks on any upcoming trends or challenges that finance professionals should be on the lookout for?
Well, for the upcoming period, from today's perspective, it's a bit difficult to say what's going to happen in the next year, in the next 2 years. We don't have only the pandemic happening now. We have some significant geopolitical changes that shake the world in the past week. So we cannot make certain conclusions based on the current situation, but as a general direction for the finance people and the managers and the decision makers in general, I can try to give some ideas. Well, the inflation is something that need to be considered when making a decision, when making a new investment. I mean, the big inflation or postponed inflation is not a good thing, as we know. I'm not saying that we're living this reality, but it's a fact that there is an effect on the businesses, and there is some indicators that this will continue growing in the future. So there's no general accepted solution for these happenings, but they need to have a very good plan set in place and controlling mechanisms. The second thing that I can say is that the taxes. Now the companies are going more international. They're investing abroad. So there is a new tax regulation challenges for the companies. So all of the decisions for the investments, in general, the decisions that the managers are doing has to be very well tax aware and tax analyzed. And last thing I can say that all of these things that we mentioned today, as a general message for the future, will be to embrace the change. To embrace the change in every segment in the company, the finance, the sales, the culture of the company, and the approach that the people have in the company toward the new challenges that are coming. Where the companies and the finance people cannot be any more seen as a static way, but more as on a dynamic approach. I mean, and they need to create their own new business opportunities as well.
I also want to take Marc's opinion on this. Marc, what would you add? What priorities should our viewers focus on shaping the post-pandemic financial systems?
Okay, I think Goran just summarized it beautifully, covered all the major topics. I think, well, for me, we have to emphasize business planning, not just budgeting for the next period, but thinking broadly about risks to the business, supply chain, identifying vulnerabilities, building resilience, to think creatively. This is the financial professional's CV, his job description, which is really growing now, and all people, of course, inside the company.
Thank you so much, Marc and Goran. And thanks for providing our audience with very valuable insights from your experience. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in today and staying until the end.
You can watch a recording of this episode on our YouTube channel, along with all our previous episodes. If there is anything you deem important but we haven't managed to cover, just drop us a message and we will consider for one of our future episodes. Until next time, stay tuned.